Testing. Testing is about making sure that the code does what you expect to do and keep doing what you expect it when you make some changes. You write a test that defines your expected functionality under a defined set of circumstances. Run that test against the code, and if the result isn't what the test says it should be, you will get an error warning. You will keep getting the warning until you fix the error. There are generally 5 types of testing. A unit test to test the individual methods and data. An integration test that tests if units can communicate with each other. An end-to-end test that tests the flow. Can a user navigate through the application as expected, and does everything work? An acceptance test. This is a validation activity. Did we build the right thing? Is this what we really needed? And the UI test, to test the app from user perspective, if everything works fine. A unit tests the smallest possible unit of our source code, typically a function or method. It tests your code by supplying input and making sure the output is as expected. The unit test layer is the most important layer of our application because it will create tests for the code that we are developing and guarantee it works as expected. Integration tests build on unit testing by checking how well units work together when they call each other. Integration tests validate how your code interacts with other parts of its system. UI tests are always running inside a browser or browser-like environment. They simulate user behavior on this environment like clicking, typing, scrolling, etc. and make sure these scenarios actually work from the point of view of the end user. To test your code, you can use testing framework. Testing frameworks have some handy features that help you test your code, as mocks and fakes for faking certain modules and behaviors, stubbing and dubbing for replaces selected functions with selected functions, speeds provide information about functions, how many times were they called, snapshots compares data structures to an expected one, assertion functions are functions that make sure that test variables contains the expected value. There are generally 2 ways for testing techniques, TDD and BDD. Both let you write tests first before and then create the code. TDD has a cycle of 3 steps, also called red, green and refactor. First, you write a failed test. This is the red step of the cycle. Step 2 is when you make your code to pass. This is the green. Step 3 is to refactor the code to make it more robust. This is the refactor step. BDD is focusing on how the user interacts with the application. So it's not testing only units of code, but also the interaction between the units. We call this the behavior. BDD asks the question, when a user does that, then what is the outcome? BDD uses TDD to test the units and an extra part, an acceptance testing, to test the behavior.